you searching for peace. You know, some of us, we go through different ways to get it, but peace is what we all want. We all want to obtain some type of peace, and peace is just knowing that everything's going to be all right. Some of us, we grind for it. Some of us, we pray for it. Some of us, we do all these things for it. But at the end of the day, we want peace. And so I want to talk about why you might be unhappy. And when I look at my life and over my life, the times where I've been unhappy, where I've been lacking fulfillment. And I want to tell you this right now. I'm trying not to be so loud. I don't want to wake my baby girl up. But I'm telling you this right now, man. Every time you attach your happiness to something external, meaning something outside of yourself, you will always be unhappy, my friend. Happiness is an inside job. I would rather use the word fulfillment. We're going to use the word happiness for today. Happiness is an inside job. And too many times what we're doing is we're expecting somebody to give us what we need to give to ourselves. I'm going to say that again. We make the mistake. We expect somebody to give us what we need to give to ourselves, right? Happiness comes from within. Some of us, we're waiting for a person to give us happiness. We're waiting for a job. We're waiting for a promotion. We're waiting for a compliment. We're waiting for something in this world externally to give us happiness. And what happens is that we focus on the things that we cannot control. And so let's talk about this. One of the first ways to not being happy is trying to control things that are out of your control, right? We try to control things that are out of our control. We sit here and worry about things that we cannot control. We can't control the outside world. You can't control how somebody's going to treat you. You can't control what's going to happen. We couldn't control a 2020 last year. I couldn't control my mother passing away. And a lot of times what we do is we sit here and we're trying to control things that are out of our control, and we drive ourselves crazy. We drive ourselves crazy. And we become unhappy because we feel like we're missing something. We start to feel like life is unfair because we don't have certain things, because our prayers aren't being answered the way that we want them to be answered. And then unhappiness, because we stop being grateful for what we have because we're focused on the external so much, that unhappiness starts to take root in our soul. And so when I look back over my life, one of the main causes for me not being happy is me trying to control the things that are out of our control. And I want to tell you right now, and you can write this down, you can meditate on it, you can pray on it. Okay? If it's in your control, do something about it. If it's out of your control, pray about it and let it go. Pray about it and let it go. Some of you are losing sleep. You're creating sickness in your soul, suffering, because you're trying to control things that are out of your control. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, when I look back over my life and just talking to people, I'm looking in the comments right now. The second thing is that we're trying to change things that we can't change. Some of us are unhappy right now because you're trying to change a person that you cannot change. You're trying to change how somebody sees you, how somebody treats you. And you're unhappy because you can't be successful. You're not successful at making that change in somebody else. Some of you are trying to change things that in your past that you can no longer change. Your past is over. And some of us right now, we're living in our past. We've been living in our past for the last decade. And every time you live in your past and you focus on your past, you are robbing yourself of the present moment in your present to actually change your future. And so some of us, we live in that space and we live our whole entire life trying to change things that aren't meant for us to change. Some things aren't meant to fix. Some things aren't meant to change. And especially when it comes to people. You can make changes on your own life. But some of us, we trying to control everything else and change everything else. And we drive ourselves crazy and we become unhappy. I know in my life, the times where I've been the most unhappy is when I've been trying to change people around me. I've been trying to change things around me. I was trying to change my past. And I was stuck there and I became chained to it. And I became more unhappy with my life. The third thing that I want to talk about When I look back over my life, and I see it in a lot of people today, a lot of times we get unhappy with our lives and we live in unhappiness is because we try to compare ourselves so much. We look out on social media. We look on this comment box. We look around, we look at our neighbors. We look at everything and we compare our life. And we start to feel less about ourselves because we're comparing our less with somebody else's more. Right? We're comparing our relationship with somebody else's relationship, our house with someone else's house, our car with someone else's car, our bank account with someone else's bank account, our blessings with someone else's blessings. Some of us aren't happy because we count other people's blessings, which make us blind to our own. And we sit there and we get angry at God because we think that we don't have, we're not being blessed, when we don't realize that blessings is right in front of our face every single day. But when you live in comparison, you're going to be unhappy because I can promise you're going to find something better than what you got that appears to be. You can always find something to be ungrateful for. And I'm going to be honest, we live in a society now where I feel like we have programmed ourselves to be freaking ungrateful. Like when you ask somebody about life, they'll tell you about a million things that are going wrong. They'll point out a whole bunch of stuff not to be grateful for. But they find it hard to appreciate the small things and be grateful for the small things. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's somebody that got it worse than what you got, period. You know, I told my dad, I was like, man, in 2020, I was like, man, I'm going to be grateful for 2020. And he brought this up to me the other day. He said, Trent, remember when you said 2020, we better be grateful for it because 2021 can bring some things to our life that we don't want? I wish I had 2020 back, to be honest with you. But I got to let go of that because that's my past, right? I can't change it. But 2021 has brought a lot of pain to my life, right? So I've learned how to be grateful.